What are your thoughts on alien life?
I think there must be.
They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us.
If you ask me, NASA has always been one of the shadiest organizations out there, and they have some of the best kept secrets in the world.
The family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911, saying they saw creatures walking around.
But I'm here to tell you about everything they don't want you to know. So, are you ready for some tea involving aliens, UFOs, and the US government's shady dealings? I'm going to jump right in. The humanoid living on Mars. This first incident of NASA's nasty secrets is a crazy one. So here's what happened. Back in 2007, NASA's Spirit rover snapped a picture that sent the internet into full-on meltdown mode. It looked like a tiny humanoid figure, just casually sitting on a rock in the middle of the Martian landscape. Naturally, the internet lost its collective mind. Was it proof of intelligent life on Mars? An ancient statue left behind by a forgotten civilization? Or, my personal favorite, a little Martian just chilling, watching NASA's robot roll by like, seriously, another one? NASA, of course, came in like the ultimate buzzkill, saying it was just pareidolia, our brain's weird habit of seeing faces and shapes in random objects. Basically, relax, it's just a rock. We're not hiding anything. But let's be real, that thing has a head, a torso, arms, and legs, and even looks like it's posed in a thoughtful little sit. Tell me that's just a rock and not some tiny alien philosopher contemplating the mysteries of the universe. The truth is, NASA says it's a funky-shaped rock, but considering how little we actually know about Mars, I'd like to believe there's a mini-Martian up there, forever immortalized in one of the most bizarre space photos ever taken. 19th moon crash. So this guy was out stargazing, just minding his own business, when bam, he sees something no one was ever meant to see. A mysterious object crashes into the moon, kicking up a colossal dust cloud. You tell people about it, and they immediately think you've lost your mind. Sure, a UFO crashed into the moon, buddy. Have you been getting enough sleep? Except this time, someone actually recorded it in 4K. The footage is insane. It captures the exact moment of impact, followed by a massive plume of dust expanding across the moon's surface before dissipating into space. It's weird as hell, unsettling, and raises 1,000 questions. Who caused this? Was it a rogue asteroid? A secret space mission gone wrong? Or something way more mysterious that we're not supposed to know about? Something hit the moon hard, and we might never get a straight answer about it. Mount Rainier, Washington, USA, 1947. This is the sighting that started it all. Before this, UFOs were just weird stories, but after this, they were everywhere. Kenneth Arnold, an experienced pilot, was cruising over Mount Rainier, Washington, when he spotted something that made his brain short-circuit. 9 disc-shaped objects flying at an estimated speed of 1,932 kilometers per hour. That's fast. He described their movement as like saucers skipping on water, and boom, just like that, the phrase flying saucer was born. And guess what happened less than 2 weeks later? A rancher named Mac Brazel remembered seeing some very strange metal debris scattered over his land near Roswell, New Mexico. The military swooped in, gathered everything up, and then, in the most shocking press release ever, announced that they had recovered a flying disc. Naturally, this caused absolute chaos, so the government quickly backtracked and said, "Oops, our bad. Just a weather balloon." Decades later, the US Air Force finally admitted they had lied. but only to say it was a classified spy device. And yet, the Roswell alien theories still won't die. Wonder why? The Martian monolith. Alright, this next one's weird AF. In 2009, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter snapped a photo of something that absolutely should not exist. A massive, perfectly rectangular object standing tall on the Martian surface. You heard me, a monolith. Now, if you've ever watched 2001, A Space Odyssey, you already know where my brain went. But NASA, being NASA, immediately hit the nothing to see here button. Oh, it's just a rock, they said. Totally normal, nothing strange at all. Because nature constantly just so happens to carve perfectly geometric, smooth-edged rectangles in the middle of an alien wasteland. Sure, and just when you think it can't get weirder, there's another one. On Phobos, Mars' weird little moon. Even Buzz Aldrin, yes, that Buzz Aldrin pointed it out, saying humans should definitely go check it out. But of course, NASA has no plans to investigate it, because, nothing to see here. Look, I get it, sometimes nature pulls off freaky coincidences, but two eerily perfect monoliths on two different Martian bodies, just chilling there with no explanation. Come on. 15th Pillars of Creation. If space had a most photogenic award, the Pillars of Creation would win, hands down. Captured by the Hubble Space Telescope in 1995, this jaw-dropping image shows towering columns of gas and dust standing several light-years tall inside the Eagle Nebula, about 6,500 light-years away. They're massive, mysterious, and utterly mesmerizing. NASA calls them stellar nurseries, because inside these giant clouds, new stars are forming. But honestly, if I didn't know that, I'd probably assume they were massive space fingers reaching into the void. And even though we can see them now, they might not even exist anymore. Since the light from them takes thousands of years to reach us, they could have been obliterated by a supernova ages ago. So what are we actually looking at? A beautiful cosmic relic that no longer exists? Or something out there holding it all together, keeping the illusion alive? East Coast Go Fast video. In 2017, the world learned about a secret US government program called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. And with it came actual military footage of a UFO. The video showed an FA-18 Super Hornet tracking a bizarre object over the Atlantic Ocean. This thing was eerily similar to the Tic Tac UFO from 2004, an oval-shaped, fast-moving white craft with no wings, no exhaust, and no explanation. The pilot locked onto it using a Raytheon Advanced Targeting Forward-Looking Infrared Pod, and for a while, all he could do was watch as it zipped along at 25,000 feet, rotating on its axis like it was showing off. And then, it just left. No sound, no trace, just gone. No official explanation has ever been given. And at this point, do we even need one? Dark Knight Satellite. Back in 1998, during the STS-88 Space Shuttle mission, NASA astronauts snapped a photo of something strange. A dark, irregularly shaped object was just floating there in orbit, not part of the shuttle, not any known space junk, just existing. And naturally, the conspiracy theories exploded. Some people believe this is the legendary Dark Knight satellite, an ancient alien probe that's supposedly been orbiting Earth for thousands of years, quietly watching us like some kind of interstellar Big Brother. Think about it. If aliens wanted to keep tabs on humanity, wouldn't they park something nearby? It makes too much sense. NASA, of course, had the most boring explanation possible. Oh, it's just a thermal blanket that came loose. Right? Because thermal blankets are known for floating ominously in space, looking absolutely nothing like regular space debris. Skeptics insist it's a misidentified object. But come on, bro, the thing looks bizarre. It was captured in a real NASA photo, and the official explanations feel suspiciously dismissive. The dark night satellite refuses to be forgotten. And if it is watching us, well, let's just hope it's entertained by the mess we've made of this planet. The face on Mars. Okay, but I need to talk about one of the weirdest and most controversial space photos ever taken, the face on Mars. It's 1976, and NASA's Viking 1 orbiter is cruising around the red planet, snapping photos like a space tourist. And then suddenly, it captures something absolutely wild, a giant face staring up from the Martian surface. I'm talking eyes, a nose, a mouth, the whole package. Naturally, NASA was quick to say, "Oh, don't worry, folks, it's just a trick of the light." Sure, NASA, sure. But let's be real, nobody was buying that explanation. I mean, come on, it looked like an actual carved face, sitting right there in the Cydonia region. Theories exploded overnight. Some people swore it was proof of an ancient Martian civilization, like some giant statue left behind by a lost alien race. Others figured it was a long-forgotten alien outpost, eroded over time, but still visible from space. The hype got so intense that NASA had to go back decades later with better cameras and take new pictures. And surprise, surprise, the face was suddenly just an ordinary, lumpy hill. Not suspicious at all, right? Because we all know how reliable updated versions of mysterious things tend to be. Still, no matter what NASA says, I still think it's one of the coolest mysteries out there. Phoenix Lights. If you've ever wanted a UFO sighting that absolutely refuses to go away, welcome to the Phoenix Lights. This is the gold standard of we all saw it, and you can't tell us we didn't. It all went down on March 13th, 1997. That night, thousands, yes thousands, of people across Arizona, Nevada, and even Mexico looked up and saw something bizarre. Massive, glowing lights floating in the sky. And we're not talking about some tiny, twinkling dots. Witnesses described a huge, V-shaped or boomerang-like craft, so enormous that it actually blocked out the stars as it passed overhead. The Stephenville Sightings, 2008. Stephenville, Texas, is mostly known for its dairy farms. But on January 8, 2008, something much stranger than cows was in the sky. Dozens of people, including a local pilot, saw massive, bright white lights over Highway 67. First, they formed a horizontal arc, then they shifted into vertical parallel lines. Pilot Steve Allen estimated that whatever these lights were attached, and they spanned a mile long and half a mile wide. Oh, and it was moving at around 3,000 miles per hour. The US Air Force eventually came out and said, yeah, that was just some F-16s doing training exercises. But no one in Stephenville was buying it. A lot of them believed they had just witnessed something not of this world. Chilean Navy UFO incident. Okay, so here's one UFO story that actually comes with official military footage, none of that grainy, shaky hand video nonsense. On November 11th, 2014, a Chilean Navy helicopter was on a routine patrol along the coast, just minding its own business, when the crew spotted something weird, an object moving fast through the sky. Now they weren't about to let it fly off without answers, so they locked onto it and started recording with an infrared camera. And lucky for us, They kept the camera rolling for nearly 10 minutes. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This thing was literally spewing out 2 trails of some unknown substance while flying. Not exactly your everyday jet exhaust. And if that wasn't odd enough, radar didn't even pick it up. So basically, this UFO was playing by its own rules. Naturally, the Chilean Air Force got involved. They checked every flight path, satellite data, and any possible explanation they could come up with. Nothing matched. And after 2 years of investigation, they finally threw in the towel and straight up admitted, "We don't know what this thing was." In 2017, they released the footage to the public, officially labeling it an unidentified aerial phenomenon. Of course, skeptics came in hot, saying, "Oh, it's probably just a commercial jet dumping fuel." But the Chilean military experts, they weren't buying it. They said this thing didn't behave like any plane they'd ever seen. And honestly, I have to agree. A random aircraft just conveniently dumping fuel in a way that makes it look like an actual sci-fi UFO? Yeah, sure. 9th Rendlesham Forest. If you're into UFO stories, you've probably come across this one. I mean, it's the most famous one. Picture this. It's December 26th, 1980, and military personnel at 2 US Air Force bases in England Woodbridge and Bentwaters are about to have their minds blown. Just past midnight, radar operators spot something strange streaking across the sky before it vanishes into the dense trees of Rendlesham Forest. Now, instead of ignoring it, like every horror movie character who makes bad decisions, they actually sent a few soldiers to check it out. And what did they find? A glowing, triangular craft just sitting there on 3 legs like it owned the place. Before anyone could get too close, the thing decided it had seen enough, retracted its landing gear like some kind of alien transformer, and started floating through the trees. At this point, the soldiers were in full-on what is happening mode. They tried chasing it, but then suddenly it shot straight up into the sky and blasted them with a beam of light. And then, blackout. No memory of what happened next. When backup arrived, they found strange landing marks on the ground, as if whatever this thing was had left a little calling card before dipping out. But wait, it gets even better. The next night, the deputy base commander himself, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, was like, "I need to see this for myself." So he grabbed a team and went into the forest. And just when you think that's the craziest part, another team reported seeing a domed object with shadowy figures moving inside. Yeah, figures inside. Las Vegas family encounter. On April 30th, 2023, a Las Vegas family called 911 completely freaked out, claiming that something not human had landed in their backyard.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us.
And before you roll your eyes, thinking this was just some overactive imagination situation, let me hit you with the crazy part. Around the same time, a police officer's body cam actually captured a bright, glowing object falling from the sky. Yeah, caught on camera. Now back to the family. According to their 911 call, they saw 2 giant figures, somewhere between 8 and 10 feet tall, standing near what looked like a crashed object. These beings had massive shiny eyes and a presence so chilling that the family refused to step outside. And honestly, I don't blame them. By the time the police showed up, whatever had been there was gone. The lights above the New Jersey Turnpike. 2001. You know something is really strange when it actually makes drivers on the New Jersey Turnpike stop. I mean, it's New Jersey, those drivers don't stop for anything. But on July 14th, 2001, they did, because something completely unexplainable was happening in the sky. For about 15 minutes after midnight, strange orange and yellow lights arranged in a V formation hovered over the Arthur Kill waterway between Staten Island and New Jersey. And it wasn't just a few people who saw it. This thing was witnessed by tons of metro area residents, including police officers and commuters from the Throgs Neck Bridge to Fort Lee. Air traffic control denied that any planes, military jets, or space missions could have been responsible. But then a group called the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators, because of course that's a thing, got their hands on FAA radar data that confirmed something was up there. So, what was it? The government doesn't seem too eager to explain. The Gate of the Gods. This one keeps me up at night. It's 1996, and a local tour guide named Jose Luis Delgado Mamani is wandering around the Hayumarca mountain near Lake Titicaca when he stumbles across something that looks like it was ripped straight from an Indiana Jones movie. Right there, carved into solid rock, is a massive T-shaped door, standing about 23 feet high and 23 feet wide, and right in the center is this circular indentation that looks suspiciously like it's meant to hold something. But this thing doesn't actually go anywhere. It's just a giant stone doorway leading to, well, more rock. No tunnels, no hidden passageways, just a door that refuses to open. It's called the Puerta de Hayumarca, or the Gate of the Gods, and if you ask me, it's got Ancient Stargate written all over it. I mean, what if this isn't just a door? What if it's a locked portal? Maybe we just don't have the right key. I don't know about you, but if I ever saw this thing in person, I'd be pressing every rock and knocking on every surface like I was trying to solve some ancient puzzle. Now, I'm not the only one who thinks this thing might be more than just a pretty rock formation. Local legends claim that ancient heroes used the gate to travel to the land of the gods and return with divine knowledge or immortality. Sound familiar? That's because stories of stargates aren't unique to Peru. The Sumerians talked about them, the Egyptians too. And then there's the story of Aramumaru, an Incan priest, who supposedly ran off with a mysterious golden disc, the key of the gods of the seven rays, right as the Spanish were conquering the region. According to legend, he placed the disc into the stone's circular indentation, and the gate burst open in a flash of light, and he disappeared forever. Some people say that even today, if you look closely, you can see a faint glow inside the gate's center. So what do you think? Ancient legend? Weird coincidence? Or is there an actual interdimensional doorway just waiting for the right person to unlock it? Because personally, I'd love to know what's on the other side. The Hessdalen Lights. Alright, let's get into the weirdest light show on Earth. The Hessdalen Lights. These glowing, darting, hovering orbs have been baffling scientists and UFO enthusiasts for decades. Now, these aren't your average shooting stars or weather phenomena. These lights flicker, change colors, hover for minutes, and then take off at speeds that would make a fighter jet jealous. Sometimes they appear as single orbs, other times as clusters, columns, or shifting formations. And the best part? No one has a solid explanation for them. And just to crank the creepiness factor up to 11, there have been men in black sightings in the area. That's some shadowy, suit-wearing figures that just happen to show up whenever something too mysterious starts drawing attention. Witnesses say these guys don't just lurk. They take notes, watch people, and sometimes even approach them. Some folks claim they've been given cryptic warnings to back off. Others think the men in black aren't even human. Maybe extraterrestrials making sure we don't get too close to whatever is really going on in Hessdalen. Now, skeptics have tried their best to explain the lights away. The most popular scientific theory? Radon gas in the valley causes mini electrical discharges, which are basically glowing air pockets, I would say. Sounds reasonable, except that doesn't explain why some lights hover perfectly still for ages, while others zip away like UFOs. And it definitely doesn't explain the shape-shifting, the color changes, or the fact that the lights seem to react to observers. The moon spire. Okay, so back in 1967, NASA's lunar orbiter was doing its thing when it captured something that sent conspiracy theorists, and honestly me, into a frenzy. A tower. Not a little rock, not a hill, but an actual thin, towering spire rising from the surface, casting a long, undeniable shadow. Now NASA's first reaction? Oh, must be a glitch. Here's the problem. Glitches don't cast shadows. So, either the moon decided to randomly sprout a skyscraper, or something put it there. And let's talk about NASA's reaction, because it was basically a masterclass in avoiding a conversation. Instead of addressing what it actually was, they just shrugged it off, barely even acknowledging it. If it were just another boring rock, why not investigate? Why not send a lander to check it out? Of course they didn't, because that would mean acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, something weird is up there. So which of these top-secret alien encounters has made you question NASA the most? Do you think they even accomplished a moon landing or lied about that too?